Thank you guys for coming on the Warrior Academy podcast today. I want to let my guest introduce herself, and we're going to dive right in.
I'm Hayley Hampton. I recently just started personal training. I kind of have been training since October. I got my certification in very early December, and I'm just kind of doing a couple jobs here and there since then, trying to build up clientele, make it full time.
How's it feel? How does it feel doing it?
It feels really good. I hadn't worked in probably 10 years before that. And so kind of going out and being independent and kind of doing my own thing, having a job, it feels really good. That's
awesome. So what is it that kind of drives you with, personal training? I know we know each other through the gym and through fights and Kane and Jess and everybody and training, kickboxing and stuff. And I ask this as someone that has been around this world, and I have absolutely no interest in training people in fitness. I attempted 15 years ago to do some boot camps with a good friend of mine, Eric, who's a chiropractor. We would do a wellness winter, and I'd do the boot camps for it. And I literally was like, oh, it sucks. I've always told her I have no interest in any type of cardio, anything, if it's not just a martial arts. I have no interest in teaching it. I don't even want to I've taken my instructors to the gym to teach them how to use equipment, but I don't even really enjoy that. I just don't. So as someone that's a fighter and in that world and you're interested in fitness, what is it that really motivated you or drives you towards that?
It's kind of been a journey. I was not active most of my life. I had a very high metabolism. I never needed it. But then after I had my kids, my whole body changed. I had to start working out and doing that stuff. And so I started at this one place doing cardio kickboxing, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It was at a Taekwondo gym, and so it was kind of split in half. So it was cardio kickboxing, fitness was over here, and at the same time, Taekwondo would be going on over here. And so as I was doing my thing over here, I was just kind of looking what's that over there?
Yeah.
So I started getting into that. I went kind of as far as I thought I could go in that gym. I had always been kind of wondering about other martial arts and other things like that. And that's how I ended up at Wolf's Den. I was just looking around. I had no idea what it was. And I was like, this place looks really fun. So I walked in. That's where I met Lily and Liz Helton. They saw another girl there and pretty much told me, you're going to start fighting now.
Yeah. They just grabbed you. Yep.
Yeah, they're like, you're fighting now. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm fighting now. So I started getting into that. And that's when I heard about Kane Royer. One of my old coaches was like, you should start going to him in the mornings. And so I started going in there, realized how super unfit I really was, because he'll kill you.
As soon as Kane has you jumping over shit, you're like, wow, I have no cardio. I thought running was hard. Let's jump stuff.
Yeah, 30 seconds in, I was like, this is really bad. So I started working out with him maybe 2 days a week, and then he started upping his classes. I was going in 5 days a week, and I just really fell in love with it. I absolutely love cardio. Most people don't.
Yeah.
But I really, really do. And then we started doing more weight training and things like that. And it's just, I really loved kind of how the body works. It's so strange how there's a million ways to do all these workouts, but each one is so different. So I started kind of looking into personal training for a long time, but I didn't really have the push I needed to really focus in on it. I'm not really the best learner. I get very distracted, very easy. It's hard to kind of retain that information. But then as I started going through my divorce, I was like, I need a job. I need a way to support myself. I'm really interested in this. I really love this. Might as well go full force.
That's awesome. And so that was kind of something you had toyed with, you thought about.
Yeah.
And that's great that you're able to fulfill that passion. You're able to see that. And I've met so many people over the years that always say, I wish I would have done this. I wish I wouldn't have quit that. Oh, I've always loved this, but I didn't pursue it. Or this happened and I gave up on it. And would you do that? You're cheating yourself, you're cheating your family, you're cheating everybody by not pursuing that passion. Even if it does mean there are some things you have to sacrifice in the beginning, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And to see you be able to make that transition and switch over to that is such a what would some say, a rebirth or a hard period you went through in your life. That's awesome. And to enjoy it is great. I mean, even though you're just getting started, is there a time where you're like, oh, I just don't want to do this today? Or is it just all just, that hunger, that freshness to do it?
I mean, I feel like there's definitely a lot of days where I'm like, I really don't want to do this. Or like a lot of my classes are in the evening. I'll be there until maybe 6:30 at night. I'm like, I want to be home. I've got kids. Like, I would like to be at home with them, but also I want to be doing what I'm passionate about. And right now it's the very beginning. You kind of take what you can get.
Yep.
Until you can kind of build up that clientele and start making your own schedule. So, I mean, there definitely is kind of sacrifices that you have to make in the beginning, but eventually, things start to pay off.
It will, and with that career, you'll be able to set your schedule once you're established. It's one of those, there is a lot of grind in the beginning, and a lot of people don't make it. Like anything when you go out on your own.
Yes.
So the question I asked was, do you not want to do it now? It sounded more like to me like you answered like you'd like to be at home with the kids, you'd like to be doing this, not really that you didn't want to go do it.
No, I do still love it.
Do you still love it, but you're like, wait, because that's how I'm in martial arts. There's some nights I'm like, man, I wish I was at home and around the kids a little more, even though they're old enough now, they help and they're at the school. But at the same time, while I'm there, I'm never like, I just wish I wouldn't have been here tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some people are like, oh, do you not feel like doing it some days? Yeah, I don't feel like doing it some days because I would rather do A, B, and C or whatever, but that's where discipline kicks in. But you still do it because it is doing something you loved. What was a career you thought about having when you were younger?
Oh my gosh. I think when I was younger, before I had my kids, I had always wanted to be a pastry chef.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was something that I had toyed around with for a while. But then I met my now ex-husband and started having kids very young. I had my first kid when I was 20 and then my second kid when I was 23. And so we had kind of agreed like it just makes more sense for me to stay at home and raise them. So I really didn't think about a career much past that.
Really? Mm-hmm. I always thought you worked. Mm-hmm. I thought you came to why was I thinking you did some type of nursing or some crap? I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe you were being a smart aleck one time. I don't know. I remember because I thought you did. I thought that's why you did the Canes early classes because then you went to work. I don't know why I thought that because that's when I seen you posted you were doing this now. I was like, wow, career, like, wow. Okay, cool. Good for you. That's a big jump. How does it feel making that jump? I mean, how scary is it? To, not only are you going back into the workforce, for being, stay at home with your kids and having that type of life, but you're going to go ahead and say, fuck it. Let's just start an LLC and start my own thing and do my own business and just full send. Yeah,
it's really scary. My whole life changed. I never had to worry about money. I never had to worry about going out and working. I could stay at home with the kids. Like summer breaks, I was at home all day, every day with them. I never really had to worry about any of that. And so now it's like a big change for them, a big change for me, going out and working, especially in the evenings when they're just getting home from school. I have to leave. But yeah, kind of starting your own business and you being the one that has to bring in the clients, you being the one that has to do the marketing and the advertising and all of that. It's definitely very scary. It's very intimidating. It's a lot of research. It's a lot of trial and error. So
I should have brought you a couple books. I got a couple books for you because there's a couple like with what you're doing. Yeah, we'll talk about it afterwards. A couple different books that you'll want to, because it is scary and it does change on a dime too. Like what's getting this, what's getting that. It's hard to build it up in the beginning because, when I first opened the Taekwondo school, it's just me. I was sitting in the office. The school was painted. It was decorated. It had the nice mat. Everything was there. And people are like, so? I was like, I'm going to be really good at this. I'm going to love it. And they're like, yeah, it looks like it. I'm like, I promise. And I always joke, Marlon, she's still with me now, she did daycare. So she had the kids from the daycare plus her kids. I worked on all deal and she'd pull up like 6 or 7, like more than should have been in the van. And they would come in and then people would be like, oh, you got a class. It's, it's kind of semi-full. Okay, let's sign up. And I was like, oh, thank you. She's all right. I'm like, this wouldn't have been here if Marlon she signed up in February. January was a hard month because I had like 3 students. So if they showed up the same class, the rest of the classes were empty. I would just sit at the school. You walk into a car lot to buy a car and they're like, man, we're going to get you the best car ever, but there's not a car there. It's hard. So like with you starting out training, you're training, but where's the results? Where's this? Where's that? You're just starting out. They're taking your word for it, your passion for it. So that is scary.
Yes.
I think it takes a special type of mental handicap for us to do it. I really do. I don't think people are like, oh man, we're just bold. We're this. I didn't tell yourself that. I just have always told everybody, I'm just really dumb and go for it.
Yeah.
Just I want to do this. I'm going to make it happen. And that's commendable to, especially coming off a divorce and just going for it. Some people would have just been like, you know what? I can do this job over here. This will be safe.
I mean, I think you just kind of have to have the mindset of like, this is what I'm doing. There is no alternative, and I'm going to have to make it work no matter what.
Winners don't have plan B.
Yeah.
This is my favorite thing. I used to have people before, and I'd be like, I don't, like, I felt stupid. I don't have a plan B. And I don't remember who said it, but they're like, winners don't have plan B. And I'm like, yeah, winners don't have plan B because we die on plan A.
Yeah, I like that.
I was
better.
like, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. It's not that I'm stupid and I didn't plan for an A, B, a C, and a D. They're like, winners don't have plan B. Winners take it to the end zone every time. And that's how you have to do this stuff. I feel like that's the only way to do it.
No, because like obviously things are tight right now. I've had so many family members be like, why don't you get this job or this job or this job? And I was like, I don't want those jobs. I want this job, and I'm going to make this job work. And I'm not going to work here in the meantime. I'm going to focus on this.
Yeah.
And they think I'm crazy.
Well, but if you focus on this, then that's going to take it's going to take away from it. It's hard. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, when I started the academy, I would be on a job site painting for my boss. I'd be up on a roof painting fascia boards. Boyer Academy, Matthew speaking. Oh, yeah, I'd love to have your kid. Oh, yeah, I'm in the back. I can, and sorry if it's a little noisy, and I'd try to shield the wind off my phone. I did it all the time. Because I had to answer it. Thank goodness earpieces came out, and I started, that made it a little easier, but your focus has to be on that. It has to be on the prize. And if your focus is on the prize, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen for you when you pursue it. So what are you wanting to do with it? I've talked to trainers and people in this industry, and everybody, it seems like in the beginning, you're like, I just want to train. I just want to do workout. I just want to help people achieve fitness goals. The usual copy paste thing. Just like when I started talking about, I want to teach people to kick better and do this. And now I've been years into it. I've kind of like, no, I want to focus on mindset and competence and leadership and building confident students. Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself going with it? Do you want to help other moms? Do you want to work with sports athletes? Do you want to work with what is it that you feel you're going to be the most passionate, or is it just helping someone achieve a goal?
I just started not long ago working at Freedom Fitness, and they kind of asked me the same thing, like, what do you want to do? And I had the same kind of thing, like, I want to train people. I want to get clients in. And they're like, okay, but what kind? And I was like, anyone that I can get.
With green dollar bills. Yeah. Nope. And that's where everybody has to start. You can't be like,
too choosy.
I'm only going to work with baseball athletes. It's going to take you a minute. Like, you gotta go for it.
Yeah. But again, they were like, that's great. But let's dive into that. And there's some absolutely amazing trainers up there. As soon as I walked in the door, it was like, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you grow? I've talked to lots of the trainers up there. And I think kind of right now, my focus is kind of, what do I know? Because if I know something really well, something that I've dealt with myself, I can kind of help other people with that same thing. So it's kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm focusing a lot on single moms, but then also on the other end of the spectrum, I am an athlete. I did do kickboxing, and so I'm incredibly passionate about that aspect of it. So I think it's kind of trying to get people to understand, because when you say, like, what do you specialize in? And I'm like, single moms and also high intensity athletes. Yeah. People are like, what are you talking about? Yeah. So kind of getting people to understand, like, yes, but I have experience training both. Right now, I at one place I work at, I do exclusively train like older women and mothers, but also I do have a lot of experience in athletic training. Yeah. And so I would like to focus on both of those. Kind
of as you build out the clientele and start kind of diving which way you want to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes trainers good too. I think that's what makes anybody good, is like knowing where you're going with it. One of the things my coach Aaron works with me on all the time, and my business coach, is where are you going with this? And then how to reverse engineer it. Like, okay, I talked to him the other day about wanting to do a little tournament in the school. What's your goal with the little tournament? Well, it's X, Y, and Z. Okay, let's reverse engineer. He broke it all down. I was like, okay, that makes sense. So knowing where you want to go is going to help you so much where you start. But then having that focus on it to where someone comes in and says, hey, man, I really want to do, let's say they wanted to train for a specific sport, soccer. I don't know if you know anything about soccer. I'm just saying. I know nothing about soccer. It has a ball, white, black. And my son thinks Messi is a god, and I'm not sure who that guy is. So
never heard of him.
Yeah, there you go. You would have the integrity to look at and be like, that's not really my expertise. But a friend of mine over here actually trains a lot of soccer players. You know, I have people come into the gym really interested. We laugh. Really want my kid to, they need to UFC or something like that. And I'll be like, so we talking grappling, striking? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so we don't really know what these terms are. Okay, cool. Are you going to do like wrestling in school? Yeah, I wrestled. I'd love him to wrestle. Cool. Then a friend of mine has a jiu-jitsu academy. Great people. Working with people unknown. I tell them flat out, I'm not your guy. Oh man, you think you did jiu-jitsu for a minute. I'm like, yeah, I'm not very good at it. I'm not going to even attempt to teach you anything. Knowing what you're good at, playing with that, and sticking with it. I don't have interest in training that. We backed out of doing any full contact kickboxing. I had 2 teenagers get slight concussions, and I was like, you know what? This just really isn't the avenue I want to pursue, so we don't do it. If someone walks in my school and says, I really want to be a kickboxer, I tell them, well, we teach traditional Taekwondo. We incorporate kickboxing, but if you're wanting to compete and pursue it, let me give you some recommendations. That would be the same thing with you. You're figuring out what you want to do, and you can, hey, this is what I'm at, and this is where I'm not at.
Yeah.
Like I learned years ago, I don't want to do fitness classes. I trust me, parents all the time. I'm like, I'll do a kickboxing-based cardio class, but you're going to keep your hands up, your elbows in. You're going to do it like you're supposed to. You're not going to, it's not mommy booty boot camp because I'm not teaching that. I just cringe when I've had people come in to try to, and they're just wailing on the back. Oh, I'm getting a workout. I'm like, oh, but I'm going to throw up. Like I can't. So picking that early is going to be important for you. And that's good. That's good that you know that. So if you look at this 10 years from now in, a perfect world, where do you see yourself? Where do you see it?
I honestly would love to go back and get another certification in athletic training. I think that is obviously with my background, probably what I'm most passionate about. Obviously starting right out the gate, that's not the main clientele you're going to get, especially when people don't really know your name or know you're brand new to the scene. But I definitely would like to focus later on like high intensity athletic training.
Yeah. And that's great that you're already planning that out, and that you're not afraid to go do it. That you're not afraid to pursue it. That was the cool thing with working out with Kane. He knew we were all getting ready for kickboxing matches, so it was like, do this and this, and it was great. I remember first time walking in, everybody was jumping. I'm like, oh, Jesus, we need to jump. This is silly. And like 15 seconds in, I was like, I can't breathe. And it was like amazing at what I learned. Yeah. But he knew what he needed to do for kickboxers because of the stamina. So with that, it's going to give you that avenue as well. I really love the athlete mindset. I mean, when you're a personal trainer, you always have, a pretty significant amount of clients where you're like, hey, please do try this or do this. And they're like, I don't like that, or I don't want to do that, which is fine. You have to get creative and kind of be like, okay, let's find a way to do these exercises in a way that you're going to enjoy. It's definitely like a bit of a mental workout on the spot to be like, okay, how can I change this? How can I adapt this? But when you get a group of athletes in a room and you're like, do this and do it now, and don't stop doing that thing until I tell you to, and they're like, you got it, boss. Yeah, I can't imagine looking at Kane being like, I don't like. It's gonna make me sweat. I'm not gonna like that. I could just see the look on his face at 5 a.m. when you laid that line on him. You're like, I don't really feel like doing hurdle jumps today. One night at class, I had them all set up, and this one kid jumped and stomped on one of the hurdles, and it broke. And my one black belt, Emily, looked at him like he was a genius. I'm like, if you stomp on every hurdle, I'm gonna break you tonight. She's like, they break that easy? Because they were all miserable jumping on him, and when he hit it, I looked at her, and her eyes just lit up like, oh, that was smart. If we break them, I'm like, no, I have lots of duct tape. dang. Because I could only imagine that lining a class up, them being like, nah, I'm not really wanting to sweat tonight. Can we, I think we should do that. Like, they'll try that crap, but it never works. They'll be like, you know what sounds really good tonight? I'm like, I'm going to do whatever. The opposite of what you say is, so tread lightly, because class might get really intense. I'm tired at the moment. It could be easy.
Yeah, you're going to sweat today. We're going to sweat more.
Yeah, they'll every once in a while, they'll be like, you know what? Like, lean on the desk, like, it was a long day at school. I'm like, oh, we're running. Speak again, we're getting the hurdles out. I did that one time. They were all dying. Jara shared something. Kane's like, that's it. Take your pain out on others. He was cracking me up. I was dying. But it's great that you know that. You're pursuing that. Like, how long have you toyed with this idea of doing the training? Like, if you could put years on it.
I would say 5 years.
Yeah.
Because it was still when I was at my other gym, I was toying with the idea.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it was like, not the right time, or, but I'm so busy. I've got all these other responsibilities. But now I'm like, you know what? I've got even more responsibilities, but I'm also going to throw this into the mix.
You're going to dive in.
Yeah.
And that's important to do, because if you're not fulfilled, if you're not doing the things that you like, it's hard to help others do that. Mm-hmm. And that'll really drive you to be passionate about it. Plus, with all the rehab work you've done with hip.
Yeah, it was like a full hip reconstructive surgery. I am very well versed now on like kind of unilateral movements.
I say that should help you a lot.
Oh my gosh, a lot. And I still have to do them at least once or twice a week.
Really?
I incorporate unilateral movement because my right hip is still significantly weaker than my other side. And it probably will be inconsistent maybe the rest of my life.
Really?
Yeah. So when like the weather changes, or if it gets really cold outside, like it still has a tendency to almost give arthritic kind of feelings.
Like stiff and soreness type stuff?
Yeah. So, cause I tried to take a fight, maybe last year, and I made it a week and a half into camp, and I did the same kind of training like I normally do, 6 days a week in the gym, 2-3 hours a day in the gym. And it completely, like on that last day, I went to one of my coach's classes, and it completely seized up. Like I could not do anything. And I'm like, this is not going to work out.
So you think it's a never thing on fighting again?
It's not a never thing, but I would have to alter my training style so much, which as an athlete is difficult. You have the mindset of like, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can, because when I go in the ring or in the cage, I want to know I could not have possibly worked more.
Yes.
And so in order for me to be able to train in any capacity to go in there, I'd have to cut it back a lot. And I don't like the idea of going into the ring and being like, I trained as much as my hip would let me. I hope it pays off.
That would be a very hard mindset to enter the ring with.
Yes.
To think, I took those breaks when I probably shouldn't have, but I did it to prolong my hip. That would be it would be very hard to walk into that ring with the proper, I'm going to annihilate this person confidence that you need to get out of the back room, to get out of the corner and get up there. I've tried to explain that to people that aren't fighters. They're like, oh, I bet it's just wild back there, testosterone and partying and this. And I'm like, no, when the guy comes in or the girl comes in front of you and they're being carried in or limped in and there's bleeding still, like, no, it's like, so the weather, I remember one of them, Kane, was like, hey, was, Jessica Kane started talking to me about something because I was like, and Gavril come in, had a rough fight, and I was like, oh, shoot. And I wasn't really getting in my head, but I know my face was like, because my first IKF, when I walked out to get my gloves, they were wiping blood off them, and I was like, whoa. I stood there for a second. I'm like, I'm here now. Like, I wasn't going to quit, but it was like, because they had just spritzed it with the cleaner, so it diluted it a lot.
Oh gosh, it just looks like
it looked like somebody had been murdered with them. And I stood there for a second. And I was like, they're like, here you go. Even no quit then. I mean, we were literally, Kevin and I were walking to the ring. They called my name. I was, it was all good. No, they hadn't called my name. Yeah, they told me we were on deck and we were grabbing them and heading to the back to warm up. He had wrapped my hands, and I was like, well, I'm walking to the ring in just a minute, because the fights were moving pretty quick that morning. And I was like, No changing it now, but
Once you're there, you're there.
Yes,
But
to get in that ring, to get hyped up, to get in there and to do that, knowing that you took time to rest, it would be brutal.
I mean, in my head, I always know I'm like, there's no way this person could have worked harder than me. I put in that work and I'm still like shaking uncontrollably. Why have I done this to myself? Why did I choose this?
Yeah, that like one match before you go up and you're like, why did I do this? I was perfectly, I could be in the audience watching, cheering for friends right now, but I'm getting ready to go. Yeah.
I could have played literally any other sport on the planet and I chose this one and now I can't remember why.
Yeah, I think it's always one round or one fight before when they're like, all right, you're up. And you're like, why am I doing this? Why did I, like, I remember my brain doing that. Kane's like, good? I'm like, I'm good, but just, he's like, yeah, I know. I was like, just kind of question why I'm here right now. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, there've been a couple times when like your fight or flight kicks in and I'm like, if there wasn't someone behind me pushing me into the ring right now, I might run away.
Oh, yeah. Until you walk out and the music hits, people cheer. You're like, whoa. When I competed in Florida for speaking, I ran up on stage, grabbed the mic, did my speech, and they're like, man, you just weren't afraid of it. I'm like, well, normally when I have a song and an announcer, I have to fight someone. Does anybody plan on hitting me? They're like, no. I was like,
easy.
I was pretty relaxed. I was like, it just really didn't affect me the same way. Normally when music starts and my name gets announced, we're double checking my gloves and making sure my short, like it's like, and I haven't fought that much, but still it's with martial arts competing, the same thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, this was a cakewalk. And, I was like, no one's going to kick me. Some judges might say some mean things.
That's not a big deal.
Whatever.
I'm not going to my coaches every day.
Yeah, I'm not going to be hurting for the next week. We're good. So that's good. Now, do you think you'll take that same mentality into personal training with like the way you're attacking this, new lifestyle, every day's got to be still.
Yeah.
It's all pretty fresh. When did you officially like the divorce and the personal training? Like when did all this officially go down?
We were separated. I got separated the day before my best friend's wedding. It was like September 14th and the divorce should be finalized by the end of this month. It's been going on for quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's still not final. There's still stuff going on. Yeah. There's still lawyers and paperwork. And so there's still a lot happening. But I guess when it comes to like kind of like a fighter mentality, I mean, you keep pushing even when you feel like you cannot possibly go. Like if you feel like you're about to pass out or like your body just can't go on, like you keep moving. And so I think that is kind of like the mentality that I have been having for a while. Is like my mind is not fully there. I've got so much going on. It's on overload, but like you just have to keep moving no matter what.
It makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. When I find myself in spots like that in life, I have the same thing. Like everybody's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, just keep going. Yeah. Keep moving. Keep doing my thing. Not stopping. But that is that fight. That is that mentality. That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. To just keep pushing through, keep going for it. And that's what'll, in the end make you successful, because you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to sign a bunch of clients and you're going to lose a bunch of clients. Like it's not, everybody mistakes entrepreneurship for this.
Yeah.
They only see the end. They don't see the process. I think that's what's drawn me so much this podcast. I talk with so many people in entrepreneurship at different stages. Some well above me, some well behind me. As far as like the timeline and success-wise, we're all over the place with stuff on how it's paid off for everybody. But we understand that hard, easy, money broke, sad, happy, like we understand that rhythm that happens with it, whereas the outsider's just like, man, that person's got it good.
Well, they see you bringing in a few clients here and there, and they're like, oh, they must have so many clients now. And it's like, it's a constant turnover. Yeah. You have to keep bringing those clients because you're constantly losing clients. And if you're not bringing in as many clients as you're losing clients, you start to get in trouble a little bit. So
it gets scary.
It's a forever life of like constant social media posts and advertising and marketing and trying to get more people in.
How you doing with social media posting? How you feeling on that?
I mean, I'm sure you've looked at my social media. Before this, like hardly ever would post.
Yeah, you're on like a 3-post roll, I think, or something. I don't know. Yeah, I was like, that's how I noticed and started messing with you the other day, because I was like, she posted again. And what's funny is a friend of mine that's been on Instagram with me for years, literally, she's got 5 consistent posts about jiu-jitsu, and then like an 8-year gap. Because at first I thought something changed on the algorithm. I'm like, what's that name popping up for? And I was like, I clicked on it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, maybe because I clicked on it and I went to her page. I'm like, no, you just have not posted forever. So, things will change. So how is that, like, how weird does that feel? Because I post all the time. I probably, okay, so in an average month between the school page, my stories for the school, my personal page, so Facebook for both of them, and Instagram, 1, 2, 3, between stories, posts, all that, I think it's like 300 and something posts a month. Not individuals, because a lot of my stuff cross-post, but it gives you anxiety. And I sit down and do those normally over a weekend. I'll pretty much write everything except for the podcast stuff. Those I get all the reels once a week. And so I'll go in and schedule all them, and then I'll reshare and tweak. Or if I do an event, I'll hop on and throw something up live, but I normally have stuff preset. But it still feels weird. It still feels like I'm bragging, or I'm showing off, or I'm being arrogant, and it's just work. It's just to get the views and to get the eyes on the product and get people talking. Like it feels weird for me now, and I've been doing this consistently for a long time. Like I post consistent.
Oh, I'm aware.
I bet. Trust me. You know how many people I run into when I was doing TikTok and everything and stuff. They'd be like, I'm just done seeing your face.
I'm getting ready to snooze
every day.
You for a while.
I'm pro. I know there's a lot of people. So I run into, like, how's things going? I'm like, oh, you forgot you snoozed me. Okay. Yeah. No, there was a lot. People are like, I'll get up in the morning and it's you, and then afternoon it's you. I'm like, yes, it's working. Yeah. So like, how's it feel? How does it feel to be doing that now?
Well, I mean, I'm sure you're well aware, I never posted anything on social media. I had social media so like I could watch reels and check in on people every once in a while, but I don't post. And so when I started this and started at Freedom Fitness, they were like, oh yeah, like you're going to have to start posting like 3-4 times a week, every week for like ever. And I was like, oh gosh, I think I've posted maybe once in the last 6 months. And so it feels like work. A lot of people just post constantly on social media as like a fun type thing.
Yeah.
But now it's like
3 of my Cheerios are squared, not round. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, why do you even pick your phone up for that shit? Like my stuff's all about the business and I have to, but like,
no, that feels like a lot of work to like, you gotta pick it up.
Oh, my slippers were wrong this morning. Hashtag mom life or something. It's like, why would you, like, I have so much more shit to do than that. Like,
yeah, I'm not gonna take time out of my day for that.
But when you're putting it together for a brand, it's different. It's a different story.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the workday. So I got a lot of tips from people up at the gym, and I had to like sit down with my notebook because I do things like an old person. I got my pen and my paper and write everything down. And it was like I used ChatGPT and was looking at things online and looking at other people's posts who are in the same field as me, and did like a 4-week long kind of social media campaign to post like 4 days a week. And then it was like writing down like what I'm going to do each day and what my theme is going to be, and like different hashtags and things like that. It took like an entire weekend. And it's so weird because I've always been a very private person. I never really tell anybody about my life. Like you knew me for years. Yeah. And like, I don't think you really knew very much about my personal life at all.
No,
I just don't tell people about that stuff. And so you have to be relatable, and kind of, if you want people to trust you to take care of their body and their mental health and kind of put them first, you kind of have to let them in and see a little bit about you. So I do have to be more vulnerable on my posts and tell people about my life and what's going on and why I am a good choice, because I'm going through the same kind of things that they're going through, so I know how to help. And so that's definitely a big change. It's like a whole bunch of big changes happening. You really have to put yourself out there and know that, like, because I have a big, probably very irrational fear. I'm like, I'm going to put myself out there and like ask people questions and ask them to help and tell things about myself. And like, what if no one sees my post, or like it gets no reaction and no visibility? I get really self-conscious about it. And so it is like kind of having to put yourself out there and know that it may not work out, but you still have to give it a try.
So I've had this put to me this way. If you got to talk about personal training and someone said, hey, Hayley, we want you to come out. We want you to talk to a room of 100 people about personal training. Would you think that's really cool? That was exciting. That's 100 people. That's a lot.
That'd be really cool.
Now, if you had a reel that you put up about personal training and it only got 100 views, see the disconnect there? And that really hit me hard. So my pages in December, my personal page, which is set up as a business, which you definitely want to look into, and I can help you with some of this stuff. The Academy page, and then you have, which is a business page as well. But I run those through MetaSuite, which allows me to actually schedule most of my stuff. Then Instagram and then Google, we had 900,000 plus views on everything. Now, there's a lot of that's probably bots, whatever. Most of my reels, I'm lucky to get, I was doing about 1,500 views. Like my personal page was getting 220,000 views a month at one point when we first launched this. 3,000 to 5,000 views on a reel. And you can go in and see if they watched it for however many seconds. Most of them were half to full length. Maybe 10 likes, 1 comment if I'm lucky. I follow a gentleman. He actually produces all this stuff. They do it all here. Super famous, big ticket coach. I clicked on a post the other day to comment, and he had 6 likes. And he's a big ticket, very famous. It's several $1,000s to work with, like to go to his stuff, like big name. Social media is weird because he's posting stuff that's helpful. Now, if you get on there and post thirst traps, or if you post stuff that's, this is the why we hate Elon Musk workout, or something that's going to be controversial, get people talking. Because one of my reels, I was like, a lot of people don't like construction, and people were like, yeah, they're making a mess in town, blah, blah, blah. Like, I had more comments on that than anything else because it gave people something to bitch about. People are weird. So keep that in mind when you do stuff, because that's something I still do. I'll even psych myself out and be like, I don't, because I almost stopped this at one point. I'm like, no one even watches it. And then 4 times in 1 week, people stop me, not because of Warrior Academy, not because of painting, not because of any of the other stuff I do. They're like, hey, I watch your podcast. I really like it. I'm like, really? Gas station, restaurant, because I was teasing the teens. My leadership school, a guy came in the school to talk about his membership. And he's like, hey, love the podcast. And I was like, all right, you guys, it's getting bad. I'm going to need security. I can't be I was on the opposite side of the front desk. I was like, it's not even safe over here. My fans are faking reasons to come in here. Like, there's me and there's Elvis. And they were like, they're like my little sisters. They were all mocking me, but it was funny. Don't look at the numbers because it'll psych you out. Listen to what people say because it's consistency and people see it and people resonate with it. I was doing those walking videos I do for a little bit. You don't believe the amount of people that messaged me. I knew business owners that were actually playing them at their meetings. I had people messaging me, people sending me texts. Hey, I really needed that today. Hey, this really helped me in school in this project. No comments, 3-4 likes on the whole thing, but people were using the content, messaging me with the content, DMs telling me how it really made a difference in their morning, keep posting, but they don't put it publicly. It's different. When it's positive, it's not always public unless you're really huge. Keep that in mind because it will discourage you in the beginning. You're going to be like, wow, nobody liked it, or thanks, Mom. My mom will go on my Facebook and like and comment on everything. And I'm like, thanks, Mom. But when someone clicks on my page and the only one commenting on any of my stuff after I've had the Academy page 16 years and it's my mom, it's like, all right, because I'm like, I don't need to post it. Like, oh my gosh. Don't get in your head.
My mom didn't even like my post. She told me later she saw it and I was like, thanks for the like.
I gave up on that with people because so many people will scroll, so many people will see. Well, think about you before. You didn't post anything on social. How much did you interact on people's stuff?
That's true. Not very much. And I can think, and I thought about it the other day. I would scroll past something and be like, that's hilarious. And then keep going. And
I've really worked on that this last year to, if I genuinely like someone's stuff, I make sure to click because it tells the algorithm I'm looking at it and it helps push it through, especially if it's like coaching mindset stuff on Instagram. If I go through reels and I like mindset stuff, my algorithm will change. So it's really important, but you got to think about it. I'm the same way. I get on there and I'll tell people when I see them, hey, I really like that. Or I might DM them and be like, oh man, it was so funny. I had something like that happen to me. And I realized I was doing the same thing that people were doing to me. I was like, okay, quit worrying about the numbers, just your consistency. And Gary Vee's got a new book that'll be really beneficial for you. because he really breaks that down. Some of it's probably out of date already, but he really explains like how this stuff works, and don't quit, because it does matter. But it is, that's why I was curious about. Like I seen like a couple posts in a row. I'm like, ooh, being a private person, like if social media went away tomorrow, or if my business is closed tomorrow, you'd never see me. I'd never have social media. Yeah. I have no interest in posting, or really, it's great. Like, how old are you?
32.
32. Okay. So it's great. And it's probably same thing. Like I 43 yesterday, but like being able to keep up with friends around the United States, like it's really cool, because some people older than me might not have had that. It's neat, but I could do without it. I don't know. I mean, You did post a lot. You could probably be the same way. Like if it tomorrow, everybody's like, oh, that's not even working anymore. We're back to putting an ad in the yellow pages. You'd be like,
see ya. Ready to go.
Yeah. Me too. I couldn't delete it fast enough. And they make it really hard to delete them, by the way. I've tried to delete the Paint to Profit Instagram from my coaching thing I was doing for a minute, and different ones. They really make it tricky, because every once in a while I'll pull up the TikTok and just be like, is anything getting some views? Put up all this great content. There's a video of me rolling a black wall that some dummies put some negative comments on that took off. It's got like 20,000 organic views. It's me rolling, not even black. Is it black? It's a really dark color paint on a wall. I don't think it's black. Might have been black. And that one's, it's nothing fancy. It did really well, because people were like, let's see the after photos. And I'm like, cool, it's still gonna be a picture. Wall looked like shit, but it's still gonna be a picture. Like, I'll admit to it, wall didn't look that great. I spaggled the hell out of it. But it's weird. So don't give up on that. It's so easy getting your head on that. Yeah.
It's really, really easy to get in your head.
Well, we're just spammed with stuff these days. And like you said, a lot of us get on there, scroll. It's rough.
It really is. I feel like people don't pay much attention. Like, they're not looking at each post. They're just like quick scrolling by.
Mm-hmm. It just feeds the ADHD. Just follow it. Yeah. See where it goes. A buddy of mine the other day was like, I just get up and see where the tism takes me that day. Just see where I'm going with it. See what I'm hyper fixated on today, and where it's going to lead me, and what hobby I'll pick up this weekend. Now, how has it been with this change? Like, being a mom, having kids, like pursuing your dream has to put you in a better mindset with 100%. Being a mom. How has that been, and how do they feel about it?
I mean, because that's kind of been up and down. Before I started martial arts of any kind, I didn't have anything for myself at all. And I was like getting pretty down. I was like, I'm taking care of my family. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm doing things for other people. I should feel fulfilled with just taking care of my family. And I was not. And, I was like, maybe I need something for myself. Maybe I should take care of me a little bit. And so I started getting into fitness and martial arts, and that put me like way up high. Like, it is so fulfilling. It really helps with your self-esteem. Mm-hmm. You're working towards a goal. It's amazing. And then after I had my surgery, it was like that kind of got cut off completely with like healing and recovery and rehab and all that stuff. And then I wasn't really able to go back. So I was starting to go back down. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I supposed to replace this with? And now, granted, I was forced to kind of find this new thing, but it is giving kind of the same thing that martial arts did. I'm working towards something. I'm doing something I'm passionate about and something I'm good at. My kids noticed that. I told them all about like, yeah, I'm doing this social media thing. I'm posting pictures of myself working out and, doing this, and showing people that it's not so hard. Just getting started can be a little intimidating. And my kids were really excited about it. They're like, do we get to be in the videos? Can we work out with you? And I was like, absolutely, you're going to be in the videos. Absolutely, you can start working out with me. And so they see me doing these things, and now they're interested in fitness, and they want to go to the gym, and they want to be posted on social media. And
That's so really cool.
It's really awesome. So it's becoming more of like a family hobby, like a family thing. And that's really cool. That'll
be cool, because as you get comfortable with the way you're doing your content and doing stuff with them and sharing their journey too. There's a lady that I'm not sure what she does, but I remember watching her videos when her little girl was like 5 and her little girl's like 12 or 13 now, and her and mom are both fit. They're showing all stuff. Like, I lost her off my algorithm for years, and she popped up one day, and I was like, oh, it's so cool, like, because her daughter had grown up so much, and they're still mom and her working out together. It's really neat. So to have them incorporated in it with the school, I post so much with the students, or a picture of me speaking. I try to remember to put stuff up with the kids, because a lot of times they are with me. and get them incorporated into it. Because it's a weird spot, you know, when you got the kids doing it with you, but then you're also doing it for a business because you're trying to promote. So it's like, as I watch people almost take it too far with the ho, I'm just mom doing this. And I could see, you know, you got to, as you learn and find out what flow works for you and what flavor your social media is going to be, how are you going to portray it? Because, I mean, if you look up gym influencers, anything like that, I mean, it can go to full on comedy to, oh my gosh, what are you doing? It could go both. It could go very far. So as you find like your fit and what's going to work for you.
It's definitely a balance because on the one hand, like you do want to show like you can incorporate kids. You can take your kids to the gym. If you can't go to the gym, like I can give you workouts to do at home. If, you know, put the kids down for a nap, do a workout, bring them in with you and do that. So it is important to showcase the kids, but also at the same time, that shouldn't be all of it.
Yes.
And I want to be like, also, this is a business. I don't just cater to, you know, moms and people with kids. We can also go into the gym and do really heavy lifting and do this sort of thing too. So yeah, it is definitely kind of like a balance of how much should I post about this thing and how much should I post about this thing.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, you kind of learn, like, what's your thing. I took the approach with the school years ago that I wanted a customer pulling up the page, either my page or the school's page, to spend a minute maybe on it and have a really good feel of who we were and who I was with the studio and who I was as a human, to say, okay, this is a fit for us. And to look at it and be like, this ain't a fit for us. I don't want to go there. This isn't who I am. To weed that out in the beginning. Yeah. You know, that was what was so great about this is people that are watching this and seeing you, they're going to get to watch a long form message about who you really are. Yeah. Not just, you know, there's going to be people scrolling Facebook that are going to be like, oh, Hayley's now a trainer. Could cut as a fighter. Now you're working out. Like there are people who are going to say things. Yeah. Trust me. People DM me stuff about me. I don't have any feelings anymore. People are going to look at it and think that, whereas this is a long-term format for them to educate them on it. To be like, oh, cool. This is what you're doing. This is why. That's really interesting. It's a way for them to learn. So as you tell that story and you figure out how you want to tell that story, it's just going to keep growing for you because your passion for it, as long as I've known you, for fitness and for martial arts and for all of that, is all going to kind of flow together. Mm-hmm. So if you started making like business cards or a website, or how in depth are you getting into all this?
I just started like this week on my social media campaign. I have been doing some research and fiddling around with getting a website and seeing like if there's different websites, if there's different places I can go to kind of put my name in there. So when people search for personal trainers, like mine pops up, but it's still very new, still very fresh. So I've got a long way to go.
Well, I got a good website guy for you. Brent Moore has done multiples for me out of Troy. Great dude. He does jiu-jitsu. His whole family's interested in stuff, but he does great websites, very affordable. Okay. Does a great job. Love him. I'll send you that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Because
it's like one of those things, like you need it. For me as a business owner, when I click and look at stuff, if you have that, it means you're a little more serious. Like, okay, they're really putting some effort into this. Got some decent, some good content. Doesn't have to be great content, but you've got to be putting some stuff out there. When you look at something or somebody and you can't find anything they've done. Yeah. Or anything of them training or anything doing this, you really question it. I had a friend of mine who was off social media for years. He finally popped up one day. And I was like, bro, because I thought it was a fake account, friended me. And he DM'd me. He's like, accept my friend request. I'm like, dude, you just drove off into the sunset when we were 18 and we're 35. What the hell? And he's like, I couldn't get an apartment. He was in California and he had no social media. He had no interest. And he was really struggling with stuff because people are like, bro, you don't exist. He's like, no, I do. Oh, here's my government paperwork. And they're like, we need to check you out on social.
You're joking.
No, he had to get one. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep, he was having some issues with it. Andy, because he was had a transport business, transport cars for the movies. And it was really cool once he got on there because he was transporting some cool shit. He had really built kind of a neat life it was funny because he had traded up cars. He's like, remember the car I drove? Because we met at Waffle House. He's like, I'm headed to Kansas City, live with my mom. or he was back for like a weekend or something, and he's like, I traded that for this, for this, for this, for this. And I ended up with 2 Ferraris that I was racing, and it was so dope. But he did. I was like, why now? Why? Because I'm chained to social media like this with the businesses. I'm like, why'd you choose this life? He's like, was having trouble. He goes, I tried an apartment. They're like, I can't find you anywhere. Yeah, it's wild. He's like, so I finally had to go create some stuff.
I think that's insane. It really just shows like how important social media is in the world right now.
But think about it. Like, how many people ask you what your social is, not your website? You know, I don't carry business cards. I just tell people to go to my social, because the teenagers I send them an Instagram. I'm getting ready to do a thing with them. I'm in the process of writing a book for teens on building confidence, and I'm going to do a QR code. And if they hit that, I'm going to give them the book. Just working on some different things. So I have a lot of them reach out, but like trying to consistently connect with them, because most of them are on Snapchat now. And I'm trying to build the teen part of the martial arts school up with leadership and development courses for them. So working on ways to connect with them, but no one wants the only people ask me for a business card are 50 plus. I've got the smart one that you put all your stuff on, you can tap. But people are like, they're weird about it unless they're like 25. If they're 25, if they're your age or younger, they're like, okay. If they're my age, they're like, oh, what type of voodoo? You're going to put a virus on my phone. It's like,
no, I'm really weird about it too. I was raised by some pretty intense boomers, and so I'm like, ugh, if you get too close to my phone, you're going to be able to steal all my information.
That's all. I always laugh when people got like their credit cards and stuff on the back of their phone. I'm like, I lose my phone once a week. Like, how do you do that?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So before we wrap up and end, we've been going for about an hour here. So I messaged your brother.
You did not.
And I asked him. No, I didn't. I should have, but I did not.
Oh, gosh.
I've been waiting a whole episode to hit you at that.
Made me panic a little.
I almost messaged him the other day, and I've just been so busy I didn't do it. I was going to be like, bro, come on. Because he would have, you know, your brother
showed up in an instant to roast me on this podcast.
I got pictures. I've got witnesses. So as you continue to grow this, as you continue to do the personal training and build your brand, how can people find you and reach out to you and connect with you? Because I'll post this, I'll tag your social media in it, what are ways people can get a hold of you, and what is the best way to get a hold of you for scheduling personal training?
I have a Snapchat. I have an Instagram. I'm sure you've noticed that my Instagram is a little light on material, but I'm mostly on Facebook. I think it's through Hayley Boyd.
Yeah.
And I guess the easiest way to get a hold of me would probably be through my DMs.
Just DM you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your Instagram handle? Do you remember it?
I should.
You should?
I should.
Yeah.
That's how frequently I'm on it.
I'll tag all of them in this so you guys can find her. And it's funny, raised by boomer parents, and then the only place to get a hold of you is Facebook, which if you've talked to anyone under the age of 20 is like, my teens kill me. At one point I was trying to like, hey, why don't you guys post on Facebook? Like, why don't you guys take the camera and do this stuff? And they're like, no. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to push you guys to do social media. So whatever, I'll keep doing it. Because I had someone point out at one point, they're like, you haven't been in any of your pictures for the school in like 6 months. I'm like, oh, it doesn't look like I'm here anymore, does it? They're like, no, you need to make sure you're in some of it too. So I was like, hey, can you guys take a picture of me? Because I was just excited for them. I'm like, look at Kendall teaching, look at Emily teaching, look how Riley's done. Like, I'm so proud of them. They're all my like little sisters at this point.
But I guess like if you're in all the pictures and then for 6 months you're not in any of the pictures.
Well, it wasn't even, I wasn't in them in the beginning, but I just wasn't in anything because I was so pumped up about them and I wanted to promote them and brag about them and how they did. And when we were at Worlds, I got a bunch of people kind of jump me because I posted about the team. And friends of mine were like sending me the picture of all of us zoomed in. They're like, there's stuff around your neck. How'd you do? I'm like, well, how I did's not important. They're like, but your friends want to know how you did. We don't care how the kids did. I'm like, okay. And then the coach pointed out, they're like, hey, you need to tell your story too, because parents are coming to the school for you.
Yeah.
You're the instructor, not the 16-year-olds are helping. We know you're really proud of them because they've all been on here a couple, like tons of times. Kendall comes on and co-hosts once in a while, and I'm always like, look, my go. Like, I'm excited for them. So I get what you mean, but I'll tag all of your stuff in that so they can find it and see it and reach out to you, and best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on today.